Alright, y'all. Let's have some real conversation up in this place. This ain't gonna be long because it's not necessary. Should you kiss? Should you hold hands? Should you wait? As we know, biblically, we are supposed to wait for marriage. If you go through the process of following the word and the ordinance of marriage, I went through an entire teaching. I didn't do the teaching, but I actually attended a teaching where they talked about the ordinance of the process of the wedding. From observing the wedding process, from Jesus making wine at the wedding to the wedding at the end of the Bible. The fact of how the ordinance of marriage goes in the Bible. The fact that some, especially in that time, would betroth their daughters to men, and then at a certain point in time, these young women were sometimes teenagers, were brought forth in front of the families between the young man and the woman whose parents paid a dowry to the family, and then gave their daughter over. But during this particular time frame, it gave in this particular gathering, it's almost like what a reception is today, that they would do the reception and they would celebrate this engagement or what have you, like an engagement party. And the young woman had the opportunity to accept, I don't know whether it was a glass, meaning a glass of wine or something, and they would drink at the same time, but in the action of whatever it was that they were meant to do, I forget the exact thing, I'm going to have to go back and look at the teaching again. It was her making the decision to say that I agree to this marriage. And if you go all the way back to the earlier time frame, when, let's say, your Adam and Eve. Adam, the wife was brought to Adam, but first he had to be put to sleep for her to be woken up within his rib, pulled out of his rib, made from the dirt and the clay, and then brought back and presented to him. There was no ceremony. There was no what happened. When she was presented, that was his wife. Period. Time goes by. You have the scenario with Isaac and Rebekah, where the father has the servant go forth and find a wife for Isaac. When the woman does what the servant prayed for her to do, he brings her back. And there was no wedding. She just saw Isaac from a distance as they were headed to the house. And he gets off, the servant gets off the horse, goes over to Isaac and says, "Hey man," and tells him what his father did. Isaac sees her, takes her in the tent, and that was it. We have evolved as a people over these years. And what has come into it is a waiting. The word talks about that if you cannot satiate your flesh, you should get married. In most cases, I recall Paul was saying that it's better that you not get married if you have the ability to restrain yourself or withhold yourself, because you must be able to get into agreement with your spouse in order to get a prayer through to God. it is what it is. I heard a pastor or apostle really dissect that in a word about marriage the other day. But what has happened is people have chosen their spouses over these years and made the decision to marry when they chose. And you either end up running into scenarios where people are engaged for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. I knew a woman who was actually my teacher back in high school. She was engaged to her fiance for 9 years. That ain't what the Lord wants. And they ended up not getting married because that man was just holding on to her. He was holding space. There's some that will go through 18 months. Some will go through 1 year. But the God-ordained marriages I've noticed as of lately, God don't take no time. Because if the Lord is speaking to you and the Lord is speaking to that person, He don't need no time. Because God did the work on y'all while y'all wasn't even together. Now, sometimes the Lord will allow the two of you to cross paths with one another and allow you to test the waters of your relationship. You screw that up, He separates you. And then you both have to go through a season of pruning, testings, prodding, so on and so forth. But in most cases, you're separated during that season. So you ain't even got to worry about kissing. Okay? Kissing ain't even on the table. It's not even necessary because you ain't together anyway. Now, during the courtship season, this is when you had run into this issue. Should you kiss or hold hands during this season? Well, there's a pastor that I know of. I forget what her name is, but I was listening to her at the time that I originally wrote the article for this. And when she got married that year, she said the entire time that her and her spouse were courting, they didn't kiss nor hold hands. That's what made me write the article in the first place. Should you kiss or hold hands? You are not giving this man any connection. But I've read the book on the 5 love languages. What if your spouse's love language is affection and touch? Are you not going to touch nor kiss him? I get that kissing is the first connection in order to bring about sexual attraction. Because when you kiss, I literally watched a scientific program on this on Discovery several years ago where they talked about that when you kiss, it opened up glands in your underarms that starts the process to bring about your sexual organs to being aroused. It's true. Especially those of y'all that we all grew up on the sexually intimate kisses of the extreme tongue down throat kissing. No, you ain't doing that as a Christian. Stop it. A peck on the cheek. A kiss on the lips. No tongues. No confusion. Absolutely not. But people be like, well, you found kissing mess in it. No. You know your threshold level. And if you know that that person and you got a intimacy between the two of y'all, you know you ain't got no business kissing that person. Now, was it Heather Lindsay? It was one of the people that I listened to years ago that she said that she didn't involve any type of touching or kissing. So when they got into an argument and she was trying to figure out whether she wanted to break up with him or not, and I think she said that they broke up once or twice, she didn't have any physical contact connection to the man that made her feel any more devoted to stay with him than having chosen to take some time apart. And there was no clouding through intimacy or touching necessary. But this woman was living in one state and he was living in another, so there was very little touch. And then when she did come to visit him, they made sure that they did an honor system of, he wouldn't even stay where she was at. If he put her in his home, he would go to a hotel while she was staying in his house, because they did not want to bring temptation into their relationship at all. Should you wait? Absolutely, because you do not want to bring the spirit of fornication into your marriage, because that can actually open up other doors for other spiritual sins if you are fornicating before your marriage. And some people believe that the kissing and the holding hands are gateways during the courtship. You have to know what you and your partner can withstand. If you know that you have been celibate for years and you haven't been this close to another person, but y'all going through a courtship season and y'all trying to resist having sex with each other, maybe y'all shouldn't be kissing, because kissing leads to other things. If you know that your courtship season is going to be short, still don't open that can of worms, depending on where your level of tolerance is. There are some people that believe that you should have people around you at all times when you're together during your courtship season. I don't quite believe that, because you have to get to know the person. And the enemy has the ability to use people to monitor you. So the enemy can work through people's individual holes. And if you don't know that those people are strong-willed in God, be very careful about allowing people to be around y'all during your courtship season, unless the Lord allowed those people to be there. Because they'll actually be trying to pull y'all apart while y'all trying to get this courtship together. Be very certain. Because the enemy does not want this marriage to happen. And the first thing he's going to tempt y'all with is sex. Because if he can defile the union before it happens, granted, when y'all have sex, that is the physical formation of your marriage. That's why you're not supposed to have sex till the night of the wedding. But if you cannot withstand, get married. If you cannot hold your bodies, get married. If you cannot control your urges, no, y'all can't be playing other games. You know the games I'm talking about. Not cool, not happening. Well, we're not no. If you're even thinking like that, you need to sit with the Lord. Am I making sense? Are you understanding me? So should you kiss? It is a level of, do you know each other well enough to say the attraction between y'all can withstand being in a relationship with y'all kissing? Because I'm going to tell you something that happened to a young woman that, just before she married her husband. Her and her husband just had their second child. She said that her and her husband were together for 6 weeks before they got married. And she was in his presence for 1 week, came back to visit, and they got married within that second visit. Why? The Lord began to remove the veil. A lot of us women, and this has been a thing that I was even concerned about, that when you prepare to get married, what's going to happen when that happens? Because you haven't been sexually intimate for so many years and have not desired sex. Are you going to have the desire to want to sleep with this person intimately, sexually? Are you? And she explained that when the Lord was preparing them to get married, and the quicker he wanted them to get married, the harder it was for them to deny the urge to have sex, because the Lord lifted the veil. She hadn't been intimate with anybody for years, but once they had met, she started to notice that the urge was there, and it was getting stronger the closer she got to her wedding. The Lord wants you to get married, and the quicker he wants you to get married, the quicker that urge will become stronger. So don't play with the urge when it's brought in. So if you cannot control thy flesh, get married. Some people are getting married within a 2-day period. I've seen it. Some people get married the same day that they meet. Sometimes the Lord keeps them apart and allows them to conversate before he allots them to be in the same space, and it's only the amount of time that it takes them to either plan a wedding, 3-4 months, or he just has them get married. Period. And he has them have the big wedding later. So it's all about certain decisions. Make your choice. Make your decision. But you must continue to abstain in the wait. But the kissing and holding hands is up to your ethical code between the two of you. So that was my spiel. It was actually longer than I thought it was going to be. So until next time, much love, faith, peace, and blessings to you.